I'm going to have a kind of interview with Natalie Dawson, and I'm going to, not really an interview, but I'm going to critique and comment on her videos. And this is seems to be a successful woman. Her YouTube channel has over 600,000 subscribers. So let's take a look at some of her videos, and I really like her style, her delivery, um, and the value of her videos, the production value is pretty good. Okay, so how to become unrecognizable in 90 days.
You see, when you look at your life and you're really honest, you can start to understand what you don't like instead of just pretending like you love your life and making it seem so pretty on Instagram and TikTok. What I recommend you do is take a step back and make a list with these 3 columns. Now, column 1 can be a little bit challenging because when you really take a hard look at your life, how many things do you love about your life that you don't want to necessarily improve? To be honest with you, when I think about the things that I love in my life, it actually required me to move on to column 2 in order to recognize that at one point, these items that I now like today actually used to suck. So column 2 is what sucks about your life. Now, this can be a whole variety of things, and feel free to not hold back. When you're really honestly auditing your life, it's okay to say, hey, I don't really love how my family treats me. I don't love the friends that I have. I want to have cooler friends who are doing more interesting things, who are supporting me. I'm not.
Now that's good. You can list what you feel sucks in your life, but I feel that she's a businesswoman, so I think it's better to focus on business because life is kind of big, right? You don't want to tackle too many problems. You might say my social life sucks, my dating life sucks, my marriage sucks, my job, my career, but instead focus on business. Look at your business as a machine, as an objective entity, and ask yourself not necessarily what sucks. And this is where I would critique her approach because you can list what sucks, but compared to what? So what you should do before you write down this list is, describe your ideal business. Like really start with the end in mind. This is what Stephen Covey wrote in his book, highly popular book in the 1980s, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. So really write in detail what your ideal business, how it functions, how it operates. Let's say 5 years from now, how do you see this perfect money printing machine called your business? How do you do your marketing? How do you do your sales? How do you deliver value, and how do you delight customers? So once you have this ideal in mind and actually on paper, and you can always improve it, actually it should be a giant poster because your business should be that big. It should not fit on a piece of paper. Then you can compare your ideal business in 5 years to your business today, and you can see the gap in terms of marketing, operations, sales, customer service, your employees, the way you spend your time, in other words, just identify the gaps and bridge the gaps. Because when you say, what sucks in my life, number one, your life is too big, and number two, what sucks, it's like you're getting emotional. There's no need to get emotional.
Happy with the amount of money that I make. I don't like the way that my body looks. It's terrifying that summer's coming up and I'm not excited to be in a swimsuit. Whatever it is that you don't like about yourself, just be honest and put that in column 2. Column 3.
So it sounds like her video, or this video, is about life coaching. And I don't have anything wrong with life coaching. Any coaching is good if you have the money for it. But life coaching is a little bit too big.
Is about an audit of your life should produce the exact things that you want to be different about your life. What's working now, what's not working now, and what do I want to specifically change?
So yeah, I agree with her. You have to be explicit about the things that you want to change. But again, change to what? You don't know, how you're going to change those things, those aspects, because you don't know exactly the goal. So I think she should really start with, asking people to describe on a piece of paper or on a vision board using pictures, etc. Exactly what is the goal? What is it that you're aiming for? Because her third list, what do I want to change? It sounds good, but there's a fundamental thing that she's missing. As a teacher, she should know this, and it is learner motivation. There's nothing more important than the motivation of the person or the student. And in order to motivate the student, or in order to motivate yourself, you've got to have a crystal clear vision, not just an idea, but a vision that you can see, visualize, experience of what you're aiming for. And then, you can easily do the list number 2, what sucks, and also list number 3, what do you have to change?
If you're not specific about what you want to change in your life, it's going to be hard to change those things because you don't know. You're just going to stay doing what you're doing. You're going to be disappointed. Avoid the broad, overwhelming goals and zoom in onto what truly needs to shift over the next 90 days. Get super clear on your vision and decide who you want to be known as in 90 days from now. What's so cool about this is you can literally change every single thing about your life in 90 days. You do not have to be the same person.
Yeah, she's right. You can change everything in your life, every aspect of your life. It's like a coin that you're flipping, right? So you look at your furniture, your home, the way you speak, the way you think, the words you're using, your clothes, the way you walk, what you're eating. You can just flip all of that to the opposite side. So for example, I was 170 pounds. Now I'm 150 pounds because I decided to start intermittent fasting, and it took me only 2 months to get the hang of it. At the beginning, it was very challenging. Like I felt like I was starving. My stomach was screaming murder. But after a few days, after a few weeks, you get used to it. So I think that's what she's helping people to do. She helps people. She helps you to believe that you can actually change in 90 days or 60 days. But I would, go beyond that because you don't have to wait 60 days to really see the change. Right now, you can rearrange the furniture in your home. You can, clean up your desk at home or at the office. You can put up a giant poster and you write in giant letters, you write your goal. My goal is $20,000 passive income per month. And so you can modify your physical environment radically so that, when you come back to your home, it feels like, oh, wait a minute, where am I? This is like somebody else's home. It's not my home anymore. So you have to become unrecognizable to yourself. You have to do things that, that make you go, wait a minute, this is so out of character. I would never do this. And also, of course, if your friends and family talk to you and they say, Peter, what happened to you? You're so different. Then you know that you have succeeded. In other words, it's not the number of days, whether it takes you 90 days or 60 days or 30 days or it takes you like 1 day. What matters is the caliber or the scale of your change. And you can change. And it's important to change massively. This is what Anthony Robbins recommends, because you can take 90 days, you can change things a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with that. Or you can radically change. Like for example, some people decide just to pack up and move to a new city where they're going to start a new life. I mean, that's a radical change, right? Like with one decision, you buy a train ticket or plane ticket, or you drive a car, you pack up everything and you start a new life. That is the ultimate. Because when you're changing, like even in 60 days, in 90 days, you're still in the same skin, in the same life, the same friends. If you really want to change, like if you're in a desperate financial situation, that is when you should radically change. Anyways, let's get back to our video.
To be honest with you, remembering that is part of what makes this so much fun and actually easy. Next up is step number 2, which is that you cannot upgrade your life if you are still carrying around with you all of your old baggage. You have to become a purger. Declutter your life. Declutter your actions and the current habits that you have.
That's so true. I totally, agree with that. And you need to have a way to quantify your decluttering. And I find that when you quantify your journey, when you quantify your performance, when you quantify your actions, you feel the energy. So for example, I would pick up an object and I would say, okay, number one, I pick up that object I don't use anymore. I put it in a box, and the box is going to go to recycling bin or whatever. And then I pick up another object and I say number two. So, I keep doing this, number one, number two, number three, and I feel energized. I feel like I'm making progress. Now, in contrast, imagine if I just pick up items in my home and I put them in a box and I don't count, then I don't feel I'm making progress. So I don't know. It's really fantastic that I feel this way. You can try it for yourself. Pick up an object, put it in a box that's going to go to the recycling bin, and say one, two, three. And every time you pick an object, you feel like you're moving forward. And at some point, you get to 20 and 30, and you know what? I'm going to reset, and you repeat the same process.
When you look at your environment with a fresh set of eyes, it becomes a little eye-opening to see what can change. The easiest place for you to start as it relates to cleaning up your habits.
Okay, sorry, she mentions the easiest way, and that's really the crucial part if you want to redesign your environment so that you succeed easily and effortlessly. Okay, so what do I mean? I mean that you have to create an environment where it is so easy for you to do the right things. Like, for example, if you have a sales challenge or prospecting challenge in your life, you got to set up your workstation or your computers so that it's so obvious and it's so easy for you to make phone calls or to write emails or to write on LinkedIn and Facebook to do prospecting. You have to make it so easy for you to do the right things.
Is actually cleaning out your physical spaces, like your kitchen, your pantry, your car,
Another comment regarding easy is that you can see that right now I'm having a kind of, not an interview, but I'm commenting on Natalie's video. And it's great because her videos are very well thought out. They tend to be general, but I like that because I'm here to provide the details and provide my own perspective. And so it's very easy for me and a lot of fun to record this video while I'm commenting on her video. See, like I don't have to create a video from scratch. I'm building on her work, and that's easy for me, and easy always wins.
Closet. Get rid of the old things. And my challenge for you over this next 90 days is to also get rid of the things that you are doing that you used to use as an avoidance or a reason not to handle your physical environment.
So a challenge is good, but if my brother Joe was challenging me, I would take it seriously. I would even put some money on the table. If I can achieve this goal, then you pay me something. If not, I pay you something. And so it's good to talk to your friends and mutually challenge each other. And the thing about challenges is that it might work for people, but I think that what works even better is what I call non-freedom. So non-freedom means that you have a goal, and then you create an environment or a mechanism that forces you to reach that goal, or even better, an environment that forces you to do certain things every day. It's what I call non-freedom, which is even more restrictive than a challenge.
So let's say you love to scroll on TikTok. You are a doom scroller. You look at your screen time right now and you find that on average you spend 3 hours a day looking at other people's lives. Instead of doing that, you're going to work on your actual environment and you are going to feel so much better about your life. This rebrand starts with your space. That brings us to my personal favorite, step 3, which is you gotta upgrade your look.
Now, the problem I have with videos like this, which are very well produced, she sounds great. It sounds logical. It makes a lot of sense. But you know what? 99% of viewers will not change. They're just going to watch her video and they're going to feel great. They're going to feel, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I'm going to change. But like I said before, there's nothing that forces people to change. It would be very different if you were listening to me in a classroom, like I used to teach digital marketing, and I would tell students, okay, you got 1 week to produce this assignment. You got 1 week. I don't accept any extension. And then they're forced to do it because I use force to impose this challenge. And so it's very dangerous. when people watch her videos, and here she has 1 million views, and that's 5 months ago. But out of 1 million views, I wonder how many people actually took action, and or how many people actually created something useful, like what I'm doing right now with my video. I'm creating something useful from her work. And just by critiquing her video and by complimenting her video and adding my own perspective, I'm much more likely to remember what she's teaching. I just go into more granular detail. But at the end of this session, I'm going to have a valuable video asset that I can share with people. They can hear my voice, they can see my perspective, and I can edit in Camtasia to make it even better. But I'm just leveraging Natalie's work, and it's perfectly legal for me to do so because this is for educational purposes. And I've been speaking with Natalie for about 16 minutes now, and I will continue. It's a lot of fun. And that's another part that she's missing. It makes sense, right, to list all the things that are sucking in your life and what you want to change, but where's the fun? Where's the fun? Why would people do it? You have to create a fun environment, a challenging environment for you to do it. So not only should your changes be easy, but it should be fun.
I've rebranded myself countless times, and when I think back to these decisions that I've made, the fastest way to actually make this pivot, to become this next version of myself, has always been first to change something about myself physically. And one of my favorite rebrands was when I decided that I was no longer wearing any color besides black and a touch of white. Because when I made this decision, it clarified who I was becoming. I no longer wanted to be this young girl who was buying all sorts of random things and never looked put together. I decided I'm always going to look put together. I'm always going to have my nails done. And I always attributed chic and elevated to wearing black because it always matches. Nobody ever looks bad in black. It's slimming and it's just really easy to buy. All of the best things come in black. So in 2018, I made this decision. I was no longer going to buy anything colored. You see, I was changing in the physical universe.
So it's great that she made this decision. But here you see that I think men are not likely to resonate with this portion of her video because I think women are more amenable to fashion influence. And so her decision is probably good for her, and many women might follow her advice. They might not, because women really love to express themselves. So this shows that her video is really one size fits all. It's Natalie's size, and she doesn't care about the audience. She's just going to share her change about her, her switching to only black clothing. And the thing you have to understand is that whether you're teaching or creating a product or service, you really have to keep the audience in mind. Like, who are you talking to? And on YouTube, this same video goes to high school students, and it goes to me, a business professor and consultant. So it's probably better if there was a channel where, she adapts this video for women, and another video for men, and another video for women age 18 to 25, another women for women 25 to 35, another video for women over 50, because each audience is different. So this is one thing you have to understand. On YouTube, it's really one size fits all. It's very general, and that's why it's so important for me to create this kind of video where I'm challenging, I'm pushing back on what she's teaching.
First, before I had actually made the change to be a more put together person. You don't have to wait the full 90 days in order to actually make the change that you're wanting to make. The challenging part of a rebrand is getting everybody else to start seeing you the way that you now see yourself. And so when you choose to change something physical about you, that could be your hair, your lipstick, the way that you dress. All of a sudden, you're sending a signal to everybody else that something is different, that you are no longer the same person. And this helps you get to that actual behavior change. Because without these signals, everybody thinks that you're the exact same. There's nothing different. So why would they treat you different? Why would they have different expectations of you? I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the people around you either have to get on board with this rebrand or they have to get out of your life. And we're going to get to that in a couple points in just a second here. Next up is step number 4, which is getting to know your new best friend. Your calendar. Think of the next 90 days as a sprint. You are going to be a different person. You're going to act different. You're going to be different for the next 90 days. And in order for you to take...
Now, I totally agree about this calendar thing, because that's how I was able in the past to generate over $100,000 in revenue selling computer courses. One of the critical things I did was to sit down and create a 3-month calendar or the next 90 days. And I would schedule courses for the next 3 months in pencil so that it's flexible, right? I can erase and I can modify the schedule and everything. And just with this act of foresight of, controlling the next 90 days, I was able to generate over $100,000 in revenue. So you have to do that. You have to project into the future. You can't just, do what you have to do every day. A lot of people say, oh, I live life day by day, and it sounds nice, but those are not winners. You have a cerebral cortex, you should use it, and it's what Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel Prize winner, it's what he calls system two. You have two systems in your head, system one and system two. System one is very reactive, it's very impulsive. System two is deliberate, it thinks about the future, it plans ahead. And that's what Natalie is talking about here.
Different actions, you have to plan them in advance. You cannot act like the old version of you if you are trying to create a new version of you. Sounds really simple, but your calendar becomes your best friend because you can open your calendar and...
I just want to add that this is not just a new version of you. It's a part of your brain that you're not using. So for example, if you're an employee and you have a boss or a manager or a vice president, chances are your manager or your vice president is thinking months ahead. But most employees do not think months ahead, and that's why they are employees. They're not thinking far enough. They're just, getting up and they go to work Monday morning. They do whatever they have to do that day, and then they go home, and then they repeat the cycle. This mindless cycle where they're not thinking, they're not planning, they're just doing what they're supposed to do. They're like sheep, they're like zombie. I don't want to insult anyone, but you are really like a zombie when you don't think ahead the next 90 days. You're not planning ahead, and therefore that's why you're stuck in your job for 40 years, because it doesn't occur to you to plan ahead. The people who plan are the people who succeed. That's about 5% of the population, 1 in 20.
Use your calendar to tell you to put in the future to create for you the moments of change. So let's say right now you do not work out. You are not somebody who consistently goes to the gym. Summer is coming. You're sick and tired of your own BS and your own excuses as to why you don't look the way that you want to look rocking a swimsuit next to the pool. Okay, great. This is what you're going to do. You're going to use your calendar. And for 4 to 5 days a week, you're going to no longer sleep in until 7:30. You're actually going to get up at 5:30 so that you can make it into the gym, and you're going to put that time in your calendar. The hack on that would be to spend your money, invest your hard-earned dollars into that time. Because if you had a trainer that you knew you were paying $100 an hour to at 6 o'clock in the morning for 5 days a week, I can very confidently say that you are not going to blow that person off. You're going to use money in order for you to force yourself to show up. And
Okay, I agree with forcing yourself to show up, but you don't have to use money. There are several ways where you can make your commitments more credible. I'll talk about these ways in the future, but there are basic 7 ways. But very briefly, you can use your reputation. So for example, instead of paying a coach $100, save that money. Just put on your Facebook timeline, announce to all your Facebook friends that from now on, you're going to be at the gym, 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock every day, 7 days a week or 5 days a week. And when you're at the gym, you can make a post on your Facebook timeline. You can say, I'm at the gym, and you take a picture of yourself. So that's how you hold yourself accountable, by using your reputation. You don't want to lose your reputation with your Facebook friends, right? Same thing on LinkedIn. Just post on LinkedIn every time that you're in the gym, and be honest. If you miss an appointment at a gym for whatever reason, just say it. Be honest with your LinkedIn connections and Facebook friends. Just say, sorry guys, I disappointed myself today. I let myself go, I decided to go shopping instead of going to the gym. And just be honest with yourself. So you don't need to pay in order to hold yourself accountable. And that's just one way. Another way is to get into a contract where, let's say you have a friend at the gym, or even your friend doesn't have to be at the gym. You tell that friend, look, I commit to showing up at the gym every day at 9 o'clock. And if I don't, I'm going to send you $50. And again, you have to be honest. If you're going to default on your promise to yourself, you have to pay for it. But in this case, you're paying your friend, so it's not too bad. But your friend is going to be the beneficiary So that's a second way to hold yourself accountable. It's by contracting. A third way is to be in a team. You set up a group of friends or just one other friend, and you meet that person at the gym. It's called teamwork. There are 4 other ways that I'm going to talk about in a future live stream, but those are ways for you to hold yourself accountable without spending money.
To pay attention to the fact that you're now actually going to get your goals. You're going to have that dream body walking down the beach, feeling so great about yourself for all the great decisions that you made. The fastest way for you to rebrand is to track your activities using your calendar to understand where you are really spending your time, doing things like sleeping, eating, doing work, working out. If you use your calendar and think of it as your new bestie, and it's probably going to be your bestie for the resty, you're going to make change rapidly because you're planning ahead of time. You are forcing behavior change instead of just letting your existing habits take over your life. Step 5 is next, and this is a hard one. You need to surround yourself with people you want to be like. I know this is so hard to hear, but it's challenging to rebrand yourself while still holding on to people who want you to stay the same and potentially even want you to do worse. This is one of the most challenging things that I've had to confront over the course of my life because it's so easy to think, oh, I want to have friends who have been with me since middle school and who are my ride or dies and have had all of this extended history with me. Or I grew up watching Sex and the City, don't tell my mom. And I always looked up to these 4 women who supported each other and who were with each other through thick and thin. And then I compared those friends to my friends. And to be honest with you, most of my friends were not excited for me to change. They were not rooting me on as I tried to figure out this rebrand in my life. In fact, I was met with a lot of criticism and snickers and snide remarks that made me feel less than. And if I wouldn't have disassociated myself, I promise you I could not be talking to you like I am right now because I wouldn't have the confidence that I have today. I had to remove myself because I was so clear on where I wanted to go. And I recognized, thankfully, in that moment that I just needed to be by myself for a bit. I needed to not have the friends and potentially sever some ties that had always been something that I'd wanted and that I looked up to. And I thought, oh man, I'm going to take all of these friends with me for the rest of my life. And it was really difficult for me to actually confront this. But when I finally did confront the fact that the people that were successful that I wanted to be like wouldn't be even bothered by the fact that my current friends didn't like those people. It's like, oh, I have this backwards. I have this mixed up. And I found Elena Cardone on the internet and I Instagram stalked her for many, many months. And I just kept asking myself the things that I knew I would need to do in order to make Elena Cardone my friend. And I had a really fun moment just last night where I went out to dinner with Elena and she was so sweet and so kind. We've now been friends for a handful of years now, but back in the day she wouldn't have wanted to be my friend. And that's because I didn't act back then the way that I do now. The hack for success is to get in the room with people who you want to be like. But if you can't get in the room, get as close as you can to them online through the content that they create, through the books and the videos and the podcasts and the social media posts, and have that positivity and that great influence replace the people who are likely telling you that your dreams are silly and that you shouldn't rebrand or might even laugh at some of the physical changes and the new looks that you're going to be serving might create. An extra little hack on this is start communicating with the people that you admire and the people that you want to be like. People are very accessible and they see you in their comments and their DMs. You being able to say, hey, I admire you, I look up to you, I'm watching you, and I appreciate what you're putting out there. That is you putting out into the physical universe the person that you are going to become and the person that you are becoming because you're supporting and bringing more of what you want into your life today. Step 6 is next, which is that reinventing yourself publicly is the best thing ever. My biggest rebrand was from high school going into my freshman year of college. So I didn't have a lot of the fun moments that I feel like a lot of high schoolers experience because my parents were pretty strict. So going into college, I wanted to be this fun person, this cool person, and I didn't know how to be the fun and cool person because I'd never been the fun and cool person. And when I walked into college, I recognized.
All right, so she says you have to rebrand yourself publicly, and that it can probably work for a lot of people. It depends. I'm the kind of person who doesn't really care about other people's opinions, right? So I do whatever I want to do. I change into the person that I want to change. I read books. I learn new software. I do stuff, whatever I want to do in life. That's why I'm financially free. I don't have to work anymore. I hate working for other people. And I know that hate is not a positive emotion, but at some point you've got to feel anger, right? Like 25 years ago in June 2000, I decided, enough of this crap. I have a great boss, great coworkers, everything, but I don't want to work for shareholders. I want to work for myself. So, what she's suggesting here is good, but I think that at some point you gotta feel the anger. And I think that's what she's saying here in her video. You gotta say enough is enough. Enough is enough. I want a new life. I want to become a new me. I want to be the star of my own movie. That's really what she's teaching, except that she's teaching people how to do these little steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But the big step, what she's not mentioning, is that you got to get so angry, so fed up with your life right now. No matter what aspect we're talking about, whether it's dating or career or business or school, you got to be so fed up that you're willing to change. Not in 90 days, like she says. Change in 1 day. Why not in 1 day? She suggests 90 days because most people have beliefs that will strongly resist this notion that you can change in 1 day, but you can change in 1 day. You can just decide from now on, I'm not going to do this anymore, I'm going to do that. So you do that for many things throughout the day. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do that from now on. And you can write on a piece of paper. You can write it on Post-it notes that you put on your fridge, on your door, on your bathroom mirror. But just remind yourself, don't do this anymore, do that. And you start making those changes, and you will somehow slip into your future self.
That I just needed to be this new version of me, even though that was not who I was yet. I was not normally the person that went around all the different dorms and met everybody and created like a fun, cool environment.
I just want to add, this might sound a little bit metaphysical because she says, she wants to become the new version of herself. But here's the shocker. Every second you're choosing somebody new. Every second you're choosing, it just so happens that the new person that you're choosing looks so much like the person that you were a second ago. Now think about that for a minute. You're choosing to be a new person every day. It's not like and physicists have agree on this. It's not like you are a certain person and the next minute or the next second you stay the same person. It doesn't work like that. The universe is vibrating all the time. So every second you're choosing to be a kind of person. It's just that the person that you're choosing happens to be exactly like the person that you were before, right? So you have to, like, for example, right now I'm sitting, but you know what? Now I'm standing up. I just changed. I just chose to be a new kind of person who's not sitting anymore, but who's standing. And I've never done that before, but now I'm recording this video while I'm standing. So I'm mentioning this because a lot of times people think that because of inertia, they're going to remain one person, the same person, unless they change. But you're changing all the time. You're choosing all the time, except that you happen to be choosing the same thing over and over again. So you have to choose something new.
That wasn't me at all in high school, but that's what I did my freshman year of college. I literally went from dorm to dorm to dorm while everybody was meeting each other, and I just pretended like I'd always been there, like I knew what was going on. I was gonna be this gregarious, outgoing person, and guess what? It worked. I made a lot of friends in college, and I became the person who at the party just like wasn't shy. I was talking to people, I knew people, and it's exactly who I wanted to be. And luckily when I was going to high school, I didn't have Instagram, so I didn't have all of this history that somebody could go look back on to see that maybe I was lame. You don't have to keep all of the existing content that you don't want the new friends to see. You can just create a new account, and you can start creating content on that new account. You don't have to keep all the old stuff. Archive it. It's already in your phone. You have the pictures, the videos. You already experienced that. Put it to bed. Let that person die. Become a new person. Rebrand yourself. And you can do that quite easily through the way that you show up and interact with somebody, and maybe just fake it until you make it for just a minute. If it's deleting all the content, just delete it. You just have to be relentless about this new identity. Once you decide exactly what it is, keep your head down for 90 days and focus on this identity. Social media is such a great place to start because you can reinvent yourself at any time. Lastly, number 7, the best part of your journey is looking back and seeing how far you've come. Now, when I say document, I don't mean that you have to post everything. If you are on the down and the out, you do not have to post the down and the out right now. Keep it and talk to yourself as if you're journaling your process because you are going to become the person that you want to be. You have to have that confidence.
Yeah, I agree. You have to document everything. But I'm just going to go back on the title of this video, How to Become Unrecognizable. Documenting your journey doesn't make you unrecognizable. It might help. It's probably helping indirectly. But I was expecting something more blunt. Okay, like here are 5 ways to become unrecognizable. Number 1, start using new words. Number 2, of course, you have to read the dictionary and make an effort to use empowering words. Number 2, choose new clothes. Like in her case, Natalie chose to wear only black. Number 3, completely change your workstation. Like in my case, I have a very cluttered workstation because I'm doing all kinds of things. But, I have to change that. Put everything in a box so that my workstation is clean. That's number 3. Number 4, start walking more confidently. And number 5, make eye contact with people. A lot of people, they can't make eye contact. They're too shy. Number 6, speak a little bit more loudly. Like, be assertive. Don't be a wimp. Number 7, start recording your voice using your phone like what I'm doing right now. Number 8, start critiquing even the YouTubers that you find inspiring, which is what I'm doing right now. So these are things that you can actually do to become unrecognizable, to change from your old self to your new self. So you can see that, I was able to list 7 things that you can do within 2 minutes. It doesn't take like a whole video of 15 minutes.
confident, you have to make that decision. If you're not that confident and you haven't made that decision, let's go back and start there. But once you have made that decision, it doesn't matter that it's embarrassing where you're at right now. It's okay that it's embarrassing. You should actually feel all of that embarrassment, all of that frustration, all of that disappointment. Let it wreck you, but document it. You can cry, you can have a conversation with yourself, talk to your future self. Some of my favorite videos are those moments that I recognize I'm making a big, bold move right now, and this is terrifying, but I know where I'm going and I cannot wait to watch this and think, wow, I cannot believe you did that. You were so strong, you were so bold. But the thing is, I don't really post those videos. I have many of them, and they're not for the world to see, they're for me to see. And it makes me so proud of myself. So remember that you can still be proud of who you are today. You don't have to entirely erase your life, because everything that you've done, every decision that you've made, your brand that you have today is you. And it's never not going to be you. And you don't have to be ashamed about that. You don't have to be embarrassed by it. You should keep it and you should document it for yourself so that you do have this catalog and you do have this journey of your process. And at some point in the future, that can inspire somebody else. And there's nothing better through a rebrand than being able to actually impact other people's lives, because you said, I remember when I was in your shoes. And maybe at that point, you can share those videos and those stories to actually give proof to somebody that you know what they're experiencing and they're going through. So you have to document the bad things too. Like right now, you could stop watching this video and you could say, hey, I just watched this YouTube video and I'm going to change my life. And I'm excited about this person that I'm becoming. And you just talk to yourself through the process. Make it real. Get your thoughts from out of your head and all these ideas of a rebrand and make.
Yeah, she's totally right, except that in my case, I don't really keep anything private. I'm live streaming what I'm doing, what I'm thinking. I'm live streaming my thought processes because I want the world to see. And what's happening is that when you're live streaming and you know that somebody's going to watch it live or later on, it holds you accountable. And that's a great way to hold yourself accountable. You're just live streaming what's going on your computer screen. You're live streaming what you're doing, what you're thinking, and it keeps you honest.
It real, because the mistakes you make in your journey is relatable. People do not want to take advice from perfect people. So during this 90-day period, remind yourself that this is your story to use when you're the future version of you. If you follow these steps in just 90 days, you will wake up a completely different.
So her video lasts for 15 minutes, and the video that I'm creating right now, I've gone over 36 minutes. So I want to share with you that this has been a great experience. This is the first time that I'm critiquing a teacher like Natalie, and it's a lot of fun because I'm expressing myself. One of the keys to success is to stop consuming and start creating content. The minute you create content or you co-create content like what I'm doing here with Natalie, you feel more empowered. You feel you have a voice, you have agency. And of course, you're going to be able to share your views and your perspectives with other people on YouTube. There can be millions of people. But you have to start creating. You have to start speaking up. Like what Natalie is doing. If you look at all the successful people, it doesn't matter what their profession or industry is, they're all online. The one common characteristic of Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, the late Charlie Kirk, Grant Cardone, Tim Ferriss, all these guys are always online. They're always expressing their opinion. I'm sure that at the beginning, their opinion was not really worth listening to, but the more they express themselves, the more confidence they feel. And ultimately, I think that Natalie would agree that all the steps that you take to become unrecognizable, it's really to become confident. Because you can become unrecognizable by changing your hair color, your clothing. You can become unrecognizable, right? But it doesn't mean that you're going to become more confident, more successful. And I think that the one thing that you can do, not 7 steps that she's suggesting, which is fine, but the one thing that you can do to become unrecognizable in one day or even in 1 hour, the one thing that you can do is what I'm doing right now. Use your smartphone and record yourself either in a live stream or record a video, which is what I'm doing, and then upload the video on YouTube. That's the one thing that will dramatically change everything. It's more powerful than any of the steps that Natalie is suggesting. But she's probably thinking that for most people it's too radical, but it might be for you. You don't have to show your face. Just record your voice and let your voice be known. Let yourself be heard. If you're arrested by the police, hopefully never, they're going to say something like, do you have the right to remain silent? Anything you say can and will be used in a court of law. And in the same way, I'm telling people, you have the right to remain silent and poor. Anything that you do not say will be used against you in the marketplace. In other words, you can be the best at something, but if people don't know about it, if they haven't heard from you, you are not the best. So silence is not your friend. Of course, if you're being charged with criminal offenses, you should remain silent. But if you're like most people, you're honest, you're working hard, you should speak up, because your silence is costing you a lot of money. And your silence is also costing people who could have learned from you. So I want to end with a compliment to Natalie. I don't agree with her approach, of just voicing advice that sounds good, but it's not really specific. I don't agree with that approach, but I respect her courage, her decision to start broadcasting herself, showing up, and creating, videos that are of very high quality. Just the fact that she's speaking online, it shows that she's going to do great things, and she has done great things. So imagine the following thought experiment. Imagine that you're not able to hear what she's saying, or you don't speak English, right? So you don't understand what she's saying. Even so, just looking at her videos and the quality of what she's putting in, it teaches you something. And it's really strange, but her video itself is an example of what you should be doing to become unrecognizable. Like, she doesn't mention the step of recording yourself and putting yourself online, and yet that's exactly what she's doing. And strangely enough, she doesn't mention it, but that, in my opinion, is the most radical, the most powerful thing that you can do to become unrecognizable, to become more confident, to become more assertive, to become more certain of your future success. So anyways, guys, I just wanted to share with you my opinion about Natalie, great lady. And also I wanted to share my perspective on what she's teaching. I hope you found it useful, and I'll talk to you more in the next video.